Rolling.
What are we calling this podcast?
Two dudes that fish.
Two Dudes Who Fish. Live from the shop in Glasgow. If only y'all could have seen the journey that we took to get here.
I hope the quality of this audio and this video does it justice. It was we completely winged this whole thing, but that's kind of the whole point behind this podcast. We're, me and Will. It's Will Bandy.
That's Cade Waldrop.
And we're two dudes that fish. We're just two average guys having fun fishing. We fish some local tournaments and some regional tournaments. And throughout this whole podcast, we're kind of going to go over pre-tournament deals. We're kind of going to go over post-tournament, tell you either what we did right or what we did wrong. Probably more wrong, but, that's part of it. This podcast is just kind of going to be for the average Joe fisherman. We're not sponsored. We're not big shots. We're not wannabes. We're just two dudes that like to fish,
And we like talking. We like talking a whole lot, and we talk all the time. Coming home from a lake, you'd be talking about fishing 1 second, and then somehow we end up talking about like different things that you could use for toothpaste if it comes down to it. And we're just always like, man, that would be fun as heck to record and to go back and listen to, because we get a kick out of it. And we know that everybody who fishes just likes to talk fishing and kind of no boundaries with it, because we could start talking about fishing and end up talking about music or something like that. So, and we just love fishing. So however it goes, it'll go. The way she goes, in the words of
it's the way of the road.
It's the way of the road. So shout out Trailer Park Boys. But so like Cade said, we're just fishing we're from South Central Kentucky, so we're really close to Barren River Lake and Green River Lake, and we fish Dale Holla and Lake Cumberland a lot, and we'll even venture out and go to some of the rivers on the Tennessee River. We'll go down south and fish, and we just kind of have fun with it. Most of everything is on the wind and no planning, but that's what makes it fun. So, we're going to talk a little bit about everything. So, I guess the first thing to talk about is the upcoming tournaments that we've got going on. And they'll kick off probably, March.
Mid-March.
So, and we've got Dale Holla starting up for the Mountain Division and the BFLs. Cade's going as a co-angler this year, and I'm going to throw my hat in the ring on the boater side. Probably get my teeth kicked in, but we've had a pretty good winter on Dale Holla, actually.
Well, yeah, you have.
Well, it's been pretty fun. Trying different areas on the lake and different techniques and styles. Cade, dive into your co-angler ambitions.
Well, I feel like I can't help but feel like I'm taking a little bit of a back step. I fished my first tournament in 2009. I was 13 years old, and ever since then I fished as a boater. I'm a little bit of a control freak, just a little. Like most fishermen, I guess I'm pretty particular about the way I do things and where my boat is and where the cast I'm going to make next and all that. So it's been a long time since I fished as a co-angler, but my hopes for this year is just to fish with new people, fish with other people, and kind of learn how other people do things, what other people look for, and you never know as a co-angler. You might get paired up with Jim Bob from next door, or you might get paired up with, in the mountain division, there's some touring pros that fish in the mountain division, so it could be anybody. But I'm just hoping to learn a little bit and who knows, maybe make some new friends along the way.
Yeah, and I fished the co-angler side for the past 2 years. Learned a lot, met a lot of really cool people. That's the main thing when you're a co-angler, is learning stuff, learning new techniques, really just opening up your mind, because fishermen, I know a lot of fishermen, I know Cade's like this too, of wanting to fish history. Running down a lake, and if you caught a school of fish over here, it's hard to go past that sometimes. But you get in a lake with get in a boat with some different people, and you go up the river and you're used to fishing at the dam, and now you've got a whole new aspect of where you want to fish at. So, being a co, I learned a lot of stuff. You always might get you don't know who you're going to get paired up with too. There's nearly everybody's perfect to fish with, but every once in a while you run into a knucklehead. But you run into a knucklehead at the local Dairy Queen too sometimes.
There's one in every crowd.
There's one in every crowd. Yeah. So, and man, being a co-angler, it don't take but a couple fish to get a check. And so me going as a boater this year, my main goal is to not get my teeth kicked in really bad. I just want to kind of go out and kind of fish with some of them guys that are pretty freaking good, who catch them everywhere that they go, and just kind of see how I fare up against them. We've had a pretty good winter of catching fish, and luckily they've been mostly largemouth, which on Dale Hollow that's a major key, and kind of followed them around. So I hope they stick. And they've kind of tapered off a little bit here lately, but wonder if y'all just heard that, but that's how this podcast will go. There might be a cat run up here in a minute.
I'll guarantee you there's a cat in this building somewhere.
But that's what makes fishing fun, is friendships and memories, and bad memories, good memories, they all mean something. But back to the BFLs, my main goal is to get my entry fees paid for, win enough money to pay for my entry fees, and did that last year on the co-angler side. Had some extra money too from it, and make it to a regional, and it would be pretty freaking sweet to fish the All-American. And that's kind of a really, really big goal right now that I have. And it might take 10 years to do it, and it might somehow happen the first year. You never know about fishing. That's one thing that I tell myself about going as a boater, is all it takes is 5 really good bites. And, it could happen in 30 minutes, or it could take, 8 hours to do. But even as a boater, you still learn stuff from guys in the back of the boat, whether it's, maybe you're throwing a jig and other guys throwing a Carolina rig, and you never thought about throwing a Carolina rig over here, but you just always got to have an open mind when fishing. So we've got Dale Hollow in March and April, which are going to be slugfest. They're going to be really, really fun. I would bet it's going to take 20 pounds to win those BFLs, or really close to it anyways.
I believe the one in March will take over 20 pounds. I believe the one in April, you might see a little bit lighter weight. I'm guessing 18 and a half, maybe 18 and a half, 19-ish. But our first one in March will be a slugfest.
Yeah, it'll be really, really fun. So we got Dale, first 2, March and April, and then we slide over to Lake Cumberland, which Lake Cumberland in May, you can catch a lot of fish, but you might have some trouble running into some size. I haven't fished Cumberland since last May, so I'm going to kind of go out and wing that one. Probably go throw a shaky head or something like that, Ned rig.
Cumberland is an interesting lake as far as tournaments go, and so is Dale Hollow. Both lakes have odd size restrictions on smallmouth. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this are probably familiar with the slot limit on Dale Hollow. Each man is only allowed to keep 2 smallmouth a day, one between 12 and 15 inches, the other over 21 inches. Anything from 16 to 20 and 7/8 inches, you have to release. And if you fish Dale Hollow much, you know that that's the majority of the smallmouth you catch are going to fall in that slot limit. Cumberland also has an 18-inch minimum on smallmouth. You can keep 5 of them, but they all have to be at least 18 inches long, which I I've seen plenty of days on Cumberland where that's not hard to do. But you know, that time of year, a little later in spring, a lot of those smallmouth are going to be post-spawn and probably headed back out to deep water. I believe that's going to be, and this is crazy to say, especially about Lake Cumberland, but I think that's going to be a shallow tournament. I think you're going to have guys in the backs of the creeks flipping. There are some good flipping opportunities on Cumberland, which you really kind of have to look for them, but they're out there. I believe it's going to be a flipping, possibly sight fishing type of deal. Could be, you know, kind of a pattern on Cumberland that a lot of people aren't really tuned into. If you know, you know, one of those kind of deals is post-spawn fishing around docks and marinas. It's kind of hard to find a marina that will let you fish. A lot of the marina owners on Cumberland are pretty tight, but if you can get in an area where you can fish, a person can definitely catch some good fish on docks that time of year, especially spots. Cumberland has some big Kentucky spotted bass in it, and they love those marinas, so it's not out of the question for a guy to pull out a big spot too. So yeah, that one, I believe, out of all the tournaments of the season, I think that's going to be the wild card.
Probably will. And what I'll probably end up doing is, like I said, throwing a shaky head, because there's going to be fish up on the bank that time of year. You're going to be able to catch them shallow. I really like fishing shallow. It's not my favorite way to fish, but I really like fishing shallow. And you could, especially going out of Connolly Bottom, you're a little bit closer to that river end of the lake. And, you know, there's the river end will usually produce a lot of largemouth in any lake. And that's where I've had the most success catching just largemouth. I think, now I don't want them, I love the schedule, I don't want them to change anything, but if you put Cumberland a month earlier, that changes the entire tournament.
Ooh.
And then it would be pretty fun.
Cumberland in April?
It'd be pretty fun. Go find you some timber and jerk around a little bit. And
Jerk that jerk bait, slow roll that big pink spinner bait.
Yeah.
Did I say that?
you could have a time.
I didn't mean to say that.
You could have a good time. But Cumberland, it'll be a wild card, like Kate said. It'll be interesting, but I'm just going to go out, throw a shaky head, see if I can find some fish, throw a jig, you know, run the banks a little bit. Then after Cumberland, we come to our neck of the woods on Barron.
Bum, 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 bum.
Sometimes the gar hole, and sometimes it's really fun to fish. If that was a month earlier, it would be really fun to fish
Yes,
too.
it would. Yes, it would.
It'd be really fun to fish. Even though we fish that lake just as much as any other lake that we fish, that's the one that I'm most intimidated by, because it's small, especially when you get however many boaters that we've got, 160, 70, whatever it is, I can't remember. When you put them on that lake shrinks really, really fast. It shrinks really fast when there's a 70 boat tournament going out on a Saturday morning.
Barron is one of those lakes that it's like 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water.
Yes.
And a lot of the tournaments that we fish on Barron, which where we're sitting right now, we can be on the lake fishing in 20 minutes. It's a lake that Will and I both have fished for ages. We both know it really, really well. And a lot of the local tournaments we fish, those guys know the 10%. They know where the fish are, and the BFL guys, man, you hear this all the time, it's kind of cliche, but with technology the way it is now, mapping, sonar, side imaging, 360, live scope, you get the picture. Those guys are going to find anything. And some of the guys that are down there practicing for a week ahead of the tournament, there's not going to be very much of the lake that those guys don't cover.
Yeah.
So that it's definitely, Barron is going to be, it'll be a tough tournament regardless, but I think it will be a little tougher on us just because we have so much history on the lake. And like Will said a minute ago, it's like, oh man, I caught a 5-pounder on this point last year. Or man, I got on a school of fish on this drop off 3 years ago and I just wore them out. And anytime you're on your home lake, those things always creep into your head, and it's kind of like it's like the little devil on your shoulder. One of them saying, "Man, go find some new water, go find some new fish," and the other one's saying, hit that point. You know they're there. And 9 times out of 10, they are not, in fact, where you caught them 2 years ago.
And you know, one thing about Barron is there's a lot of spots that people are going to say that looks good, and there's something on there that everybody knows about, and you're going to have to put your name down 2 weeks ahead to get in on that spot because they're going to be lined up on it. I know last year when I was fishing as a co, we started off on this one area, and there was like 4 or 5 boats within like 150 yards, and that's pretty tight. Especially on Barron. But it'll be interesting. Somebody's going to catch them. Somebody's going to catch them good too. You know, weights might not be very big, but you know, it'll probably be 17 pounds, 18 pounds probably. You know, probably 17, around 17.
I'm gonna say 16 to 17 pounds, and something. Me and Will are both. We like to fish out offshore. We like to hit brush piles, like to hit rock piles, like to hit road beds, like to hit, you know, all the good stuff. But something that I have never learned is fishing up the river, up the creeks, up the tributaries. And if I remember correctly, it's been a couple years. Well, last year we had a BFL, but until last year, it's been a few years since there was a BFL on Barron. And if I remember correctly, there were 3 or 4 in a row that were won way up the river, up shallow, flipping, buzzbaiting, and that's the style of fishing that is there's guys who are really good at that, and they're going to figure that out. There's also guys that are good about fishing brush and you know, all the main lake stuff that are going to figure that out too. But personally, I think if a man can go up the river or up any of the tributaries, the major creeks, and find a good bite, I would put my money on him, to be honest with you. Now, that's sometimes hard to find, but the guys that know what to look for will find it, I'm sure.
And that kind of goes back to having history. You know, since we've never went up there, it's going to be a whole lot easier for some guys that go down there and practice for a few days to, okay, that lake's small enough you can dissect it all in 2 days fairly well. Not really good, but fairly well. But, you know, that would help out a lot on that end. So anxious about that tournament a little bit, excited about it. It'll be a hot one too. It'll be pretty warm because it was warm last year when we had it. Probably one of the hottest tournaments I can remember fishing. But we skip July and August.
Thank God.
And then we head to Del Hollow again, late September. I've never fished Del Hollow in late September, but find a grass.
I take back what I said. That's going to be the wild card tournament.
So
I have fished Dale in the fall, not a lot, but enough to have an idea for what goes on. And the thing is, Dale is such a diverse lake. You can go up shallow, up in the tributaries, up in the backs of the creeks, up in the river arms, and you can find some good shallow fishing. I mean shallow, dirt shallow. And a lot of guys catch the big fish in the summertime like that. That's definitely going to play. You're going to have, I honestly believe you're going to have some guys live scoping. There's in the summer and on into the fall, a lot of your fish will pull off the bank and roam with the bait. I caught some fish a couple years ago. My boat was sitting in 100 feet of water, and I was throwing up this point and catching them on top water. So you've got fish that roam out in the deep water, and they'll pull up onto these points and humps and things like that and feed. But like Will said, I think deep grass will also play a factor in that if you can find some. The grass this winter at least is really scarce. It's not in the places it usually is, and I think that has to do with the water being so low. A lot of the grassy areas are dry now, and so you kind of have to look for that grass. But there's always going to be somebody that's going to find some good deep milfoil or coontail, something like that. You know, you can always find some coontail in about 22 to 25 foot of water. and drag a big worm or a Carolina rig or something through there. And I think you'll see guys doing that also.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Like I said, I hadn't fished it, so that'll probably be good for me, be able to go out with a kind of a clear head, and see if I can shake up anything. So that's that's our forecast on BFLs. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on Del Holla this winter. Me especially, I've focused with the live scope because that's how nearly everything's going to be won. That's just the way things are. Yes, there's going to be sometimes people catch them up shallow because fish go to the bank sometimes, but I'd say most times it's going to be caught live scoping. And I got it a year and a half ago, and for probably 6 months I had no clue what I was doing with it. It just looked cool that I had 2 graphs on the front of my boat, because the year before that I had no graphs on my boat on the OG Stratus ship. But Rocky. So I spent from about July of last year until now of not really caring if I caught fish, but learning that live scope. And I went from not being able to catch fish at all with it to probably throwing at a bunch of rocks, to be honest with you, that I thought were fish.
Them suspended rocks, man, they'll get you every time.
The suspended rocks, the rocks on the bottom. I spent a lot of time throwing at them, but now I've learned it, and I'm comfortable to go out and catch a good number of fish, and the big ones get mixed in there. So that's something that I've really worked on, and this winter, I've been catching my fish on 2 baits, and they're about polar opposite. Live scoping a little Demiki style bait and Carolina rigging. The last tournament we won on Dale was one on a Carolina rig, flipping boat docks, and
talk about off the wall.
But hey, think I'm lying? Okay, so it's pretty interesting. That was fun, but it worked that day.
Hey, it almost didn't work, buddy. That guy in second place was really hot on your tail there for a minute. But
he was on me, so but got lucky, found him fish, and we was honestly fishing about 30 yards away from each other.
Yep.
But that's another thing about Del Holla is them fish, they move so fast and they move so much. I've noticed, they'll be there at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, more like they're gone at 9 o'clock in the morning, but they're there at 7, and they start filtering out, and it's like a light switch, and they're gone. And then they'll be back somewhere around there more times than not. But they also, there was one school of fish that I had found, and they was there for a month, and then they were gone, and then nothing's there anymore. It kind of pisses me off a little bit, but that's what makes it fun. So gotta go find some more, and that's what makes the whole thing interesting.
It's been a strange winter on Del Holla, man. For me, that's something I look forward to all year long. I am a smallmouth freak. I love catching smallmouth. I love fishing in the cold, and I love Del Holla. And man, I'm kind of let down, I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I look forward to this time of year all year long. For the last I've been fishing Dale in the wintertime hardcore as much as possible for about the last 6 years, which really in the grand scheme of things isn't all that long, but in that 6 years, I've been very fortunate. I've caught some really big smallmouth, and I've learned a lot and learned how to target fish this time of year. And man, what usually works ain't working this year, and I'll be the first to admit I'm hard-headed. I'm exactly like what me and Will were talking about a minute ago. Oh, I caught a 5-pounder here. Oh, I caught a 2-pounder over there. And I'll spend the first 2 hours of the day generally in the wintertime can be some of the best, and I'll spend the best part of the day running around, fishing for history. And this dude over here, puts his boat in, drives about a mile away, and hammers them while I'm running. So I guess that's what I get.
So, and this is, you know, Kay mentioned the fish biting really good early in the morning. We, of course, we love history of bass fishing as well, whether it's watching old classic videos. You know, we was talking about it just a minute ago. We went and ate some Mexican food from Garcia's.
Fire.
But we was driving over here, or we was actually still at the Mexican restaurant talking about it, but we was talking about like the OGs of bass fishing. Everybody, you got your Rick Clunts, Larry Nixons, Tommy Biffles, and they're hammers for sure. But people also forget a little bit about Hank Parker, Bill Dance, Billy Westmoreland, OG, smallmouth master, them old brown fish.
Best to ever do it.
So was talking about him and talking about fishing early in the morning and them old brown fish. He talks a lot about when he lost that fish on Christmas Day. Was it 1970 or 1970 Christmas Day around 2 p.m. He says he had the world record on. He seen it and then it got off. And he said that haunted him, and he would go back to Del Holla many a time early in the morning, still dark outside, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's something me and Kate have talked about that I'm thinking about doing in the morning. It's Friday night. It's going to be about 19 degrees at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I might skimmy out there. I got me a heated jacket over Christmas, so I'm high rolling right now.
Hashtag dialed.
Dialed in. So I'm going to go out. It's supposed to get up to 51, but by the time it gets up to 51, it's going to be pretty late. And if I get in the water at 3 o'clock and it's 51 at 3 o'clock in the evening, probably pretty tired by then. So.
Yeah, man, that's I don't know. I've tried to nail that down, and I've not really been able to do that yet. It's I feel like it has to do a lot with the conditions.
Because it seems that you can always go out and catch them in the mornings, always, nearly. But then there's some evenings, or there's some days where they bite until 8 o'clock and they shut off and they don't bite again until 4. And that's a big gap. And then there's some days they bite all day, some days they bite for every hour. It's weird, but it's always consistent with that early morning bite. And we've talked about it all winter long about doing it, but we always get out there before daylight, but never a few hours before daylight. So that's something that I might try in the morning. I don't know if Katie's going tomorrow, but who knows? He will. He'll wake up in the morning. I'll send him a picture of a 5-pounder.
Send me a picture of a 5-pounder, I'll be there.
And he'll be on his way. So, speaking of on the way to the boat ramp, we'll get away from talking about tournaments for a little bit. What's got to be playing in the truck on the way to the boat ramp as far as music goes?
You asking?
Yeah.
Hype music. And I'm not talking about like Lil Jon. I'm not talking about rap. I'm not talking about yeah. I'm not talking about any of that. No, man. Hype music for me, I get hype off of like bluegrass and stuff, man. Like, and it just I don't know. I have an odd taste in music, but like I like to listen to something when I'm on my way to the lake that's gonna fire you up, get you ready to go. You're not going to be listening to, old sad country songs on the way to the lake. I want to be fired up, ready to go. I'm talking like Whiskey Myers, Koe Wetzel at one time. I was a big Koe Wetzel guy. I like him still now too, but Zach Bryan, not the sad Zach Bryan songs. Zach Bryan has got some straight up hype songs. If you guys have never listened to him, check him out. I don't know. The music on my phone is everywhere, but I'm going to listen to something that's going to get me excited and like pumped up.
Whiskey Myers, that's number one. The Wolf, y'all playing for fun, I'm playing to eat. So that's my go-to song. That's playing from the time I hit Burksville to the time I pull into the boat ramp. That's what's blaring. Other than that, you might not think it, I dig me some Lil Boozy and Dolph. And I will straight blare that crap pulling into the boat ramp down there.
I've seen it.
And I'm telling you, man, that's one of the best things about fishing is that adrenaline rush before you get out there on the lake. I've had tournaments and heck, just fun fishing most of the time when I'm by myself, and well, tournaments with anybody, but when takeoff hits, man, I want to scream. I'll scream. I can't rip my shirt off, but I feel like ripping my shirt off sometimes, man. That's get amped up when it comes to it. Me and Kay's been talking about it, how excited we are for these tournaments coming up. It's something about it, man,
It makes me want to run through a brick wall.
yeah, run through a brick wall, punch through a glass window. I don't know. Go ice skating if you're into that kind of stuff, but
Blades of Glory.
like, yeah, you can, yeah, a little figure skating, but yeah. So music is big. What's it called? What's your schedule from when you get up and the order that you do stuff? Because I've got a specific order, got a specific gas pump, got a specific gas station. Shout out to the Flying Horse. So, Kay, what's yours?
I'm not as strict as you are, but I'll spare you all the good details. But I get up out of bed, usually run to the bathroom, get dressed, put shoes on. You talking about like going to the lake?
Well, that's important.
Okay,
too.
I thought, yeah, going to the lake. I still do all those things, but then I run up here, hook up to the old Skeeter, and generally go put $80 to $90 worth of gas in it, which is about 5 gallons nowadays. And I believe 5 Star is a superior gas station. I will die on that hill. I think 5 Star is the best gas station we have around here. I love their breakfast, the bologna, egg, and cheese sandwich, the sausage scrambler, the breakfast burrito, one of those 3, and at least 3 body armors probably for me. And I'm not a big boat snacker. I like to eat something before I go, and I like to stay hydrated on the water, even when it's 30 degrees.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah,
Even when it's 30, I mean, it sucks to pee when it's 30 degrees outside, but it's important to stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated, stay focused, keep your mind right. Anyway, get my breakfast. I'm gonna hook up to the Bluetooth in the old truck, play something spunky, play some good music, and I'm gonna speed all the way to the lake. I got fussed, dude. Last time we were coming through Summer Shade, I got fussed at by the cops. Did I tell you that?
You did not.
We were coming through Summer Shade, and if you've ever been on Highway 90 going towards Burkesville, you've been through Summer Shade. It's a little know-nothing town. There's like 10 buildings and a store, and I was hauling through Summer Shade, and I just so happened to meet a police officer, and he looks me in windshield to windshield. He makes eye contact with me and goes. I didn't slow down. I just kept going. But anyway,
He knows where you was going.
he knew where I was going. I had the old Skeeter bug behind me, and we were rolling. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really have a ritual per se. Just
I do.
hype music and good breakfast. That's about it.
Man, I've got my ritual, and it messes me. It doesn't mess my entire day up, but I really, really, really like having that order. Getting up, usually 3:51 is my alarm. 3:51, 3:53.
What happens if you get up at 3:50?
Most times I do end up getting, like, I'll wake up before that, but that's when my alarm is set. If I wake up before, I can't really help it, but get up, go take a piss, get dressed warm, fill up my Yeti water bottle. I got one of them big ones to stay hydrated, because why pay $5 for a bottle of water when you can get it out the fridge? It's a little cheaper.
Use your head, people.
Yeah. Also talk to us about financing and how to save money, because I'm a tightwad. Anyways, fill up that water bottle, let the truck warm up a little bit, finish getting ready. Maybe look at Facebook or Instagram for a minute, Then go get an old Silverado, and then go out to the shop, hook up to the Stratoship, unplug it, roll out. Now, this is where it gets, like, legit. We're going in, you turn into the Flying Horse. If you're on the Cumberland Parkway, it's the new exit in Edmonton's got the Flying Horse.
Can't miss it.
Usually one lady in there working it, but she's got that breakfast cabinet filled up, man. Go in there and get me a 3-meat biscuit, country ham, bacon, and sausage. It runs me about $6. But that's the only drinks that I get. Maybe a energy drink or, you know, something along that line, some coffee for some caffeine, you know what I'm saying? So get that, fill up. Now, this is important. Coming from my way, going into Edmonton, you pull in, like if you're looking at the Flying Horse, you gotta pull in on that right entrance. Pull in on that right entrance, go around the back of the Flying Horse, pull up on the very far gas pump. Can't remember what number it is. Fill up on that far gas pump. Fill that truck up if needed, fill that boat up if you got to, but I'm stopping there at least to go in and get my stuff. Now, pull out, not the same one you went into, you pull out the other one. Go, and then I'm hauling it, go down to the old crossroads, go by Kingsford, wave at the boys working there, and then I'm off to Burks Vegas. And usually coming into Burks Vegas, I'm blaring some like hardcore, like metal music, like Of Mice and Men, some trap,
What?
some T.O. You ever heard them?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that stuff. Like blaring, you just, like, I don't know. Gets me
I did
hyped up.
not know that.
So, we'll, about the time I get to Burksville, I put on The Wolf, and I let that song play about 4 times. About that time, you can start putting on mixing in some rap towards the end, some Boozy, some Dolph, and you get to the boat ramp. Most of the time, we'll put in mid-lake Hendricks Creek, because that's honestly one of the best boat ramps on the lake. Even though it's small, still one of the best boat ramps on the lake.
From where we're at, you can be on the water and fishing at Hendricks faster than you can anywhere else, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so pull in down there, try to park in the same parking spot. Not the first one, but the second one. Go around and pull up into the second one, tie off, and then go hop in it, and then you just idle. Most of the time I don't even eat my biscuit till about 2 o'clock in the evening. And then you've got to pick the meat off because that bun gets really cold, and the egg ain't very good anyways, but yeah, so that's my thing. Pretty in-depth, but that's really important going to Delhalla. Now, going to Barron or some of these other lakes, sometimes you don't even stop at a gas station.
Nah, who cares?
You know, Delhalla, it's special. It's very special, so. I don't know, maybe people are still listening, so if they are, we'll tell y'all a little bit about us. Should have done it at the beginning, but at least y'all know our name, so a little bit about us. Cade, tell us a little bit, enlighten us about Mr. Waldrop.
I don't like talking about myself, man. I ain't much to talk about. Yeah, I guess my background in fishing. I grew up, you know, my dad was an outdoorsman, hunter and fisherman, and he always fished, you know, creeks and ponds and stuff, and that's when I grew up fishing. And I got to where, you know, we really enjoyed going together, and he saved up and he bought us an old boat, and we started learning the lake together. And you know, growing up, I didn't really fish with a whole lot of people. It was just me and Dad, and you know, we learned together, and got to where we are now. I've started fishing tournaments in 2009. I won the very first tournament I ever fished. I was 13 years old, and that got me right there. I mean, that's all it took. And I fished a lot of the youth tournaments, and I actually made it to the youth national championship in 2013, where I did not weigh in a fish, but I got there. So yeah, man. And then after I got too old to fish the youth tournaments, I jumped in just some little local, you know, Tuesday nighters, club tournaments, things like that. And this year, like I said, I'm excited to fish the BFLs. It's I've never fished any BFL events before, so I'm kind of excited to take that.
Did.
Yeah, I almost did one time. We'll save that story for another one, but
Maybe we'll be able to have that fella on too.
yeah, I'll tell you what, it's good. We got some really good buddies that, you know, joined the bass club. That's where I was going next. We've made some really good buddies in our bass club, and definitely got some stories, and some guys who could tell you some stories that know a lot more about fishing than me and Will do, but that's beside the point. But yeah, man, like I said, I've always had a dream of. I've never dreamed of being a professional on the road traveling, but I've always wanted to be the best at what I'm doing. And uh, like I said, if it's fishing local tournaments, if it's fishing a 5 boat Tuesday nighter, I want to be the, you know what I mean? Like I'm a competitive person, and fishing is my thing. And it I was telling Will the other day, there's nothing. I don't get mad about a lot of stuff. I'm pretty laid back, but man, a bad day on the water makes me mad because I want to do better. You know, and it's not that. Certainly don't hate fishing. I love fishing, and I hope I can do it for the rest of my life. But you know, I'm passionate about it, and you know, when you go out there and you struggle and you see other guys doing good, man, it just makes me mad. But I'm going off on a tangent there. But anyway, yeah, favorite lakes, Dale Hollow for sure. I'm a Dale Hollow fan. Always have been. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of a smallmouth snob. Me and Will were fishing on Dale a few years ago one time, and Will told me that I'm the only person he's ever fished with that would catch a 4-pound largemouth on Dale Hollow and be disappointed. Yeah. Which is true. But like I said, when these tournaments, man, we're going to have to switch it up. So you're going to have to target largemouth and kind of push the smallmouth on the back burner, which is going to be hard to do. But I think we can do it. We can try to. I've been trying to learn the live scope this winter also, and I've learned, first thing I've learned about it, it is not as easy as it looks. Second thing, you know, I wouldn't say I'm proficient with it, but I feel a lot better about it now than I did before. And like I said, hopefully we can continue to grow on that and learn. But being a co-angler this year, that's something also I hope to kind of learn a little bit more about. And it's just kind of odd to say because most co-anglers hate getting paired up with somebody that's live scoping because it's really the guy in the front of the boat. It's his game. You know, if you're out in 60 foot of water and he's live scoping suspended fish, you literally have nowhere to throw. But to get paired up with somebody who's really good at it, and I would venture to say that in our area, we have probably 3 or 4 of the best live sonar fishermen in the South. We have some really, really, really good guys who've got on the live scope game early and have mastered it. And man, to get paired up with somebody like that, I think would be kind of sucky because I know it would be hard fishing behind them. But at the same time, to be able to learn and watch what those guys do and watch what they look for, I think would be really cool. But I'm hopeful for the year, and I don't expect to go out and win a tournament. I'd love to. I want one of those little bass trophies, you know. But you know, if I can go in through the year and, like Will said, make my entry fees back, and you know, maybe learn a little bit, I'm cool with that for sure. But yeah, that's where I'm at. What about you?
So started fishing really, really young. Whole lot of crappie fishing, whole lot of fishing on Dale in the wintertime for smallmouth with my dad, my uncle. Did that a lot. Didn't really know, I mean, never really, I always paid attention to bass fishing, you know, but, you know, I always loved watching KVD. That was my thing, watching KVD on a Saturday morning. With the old Elite series where they had the red and green grass with the crankbait going through it, that was my jam. So, grew up fishing like that, and I remember watching my grandpa used to live up around Beaver Dam, so we fished on Cade's favorite lake. He's lying to you about Dale Hollow. His favorite lake is Lake Malone.
I'm a Lake Malone champ.
He's
sure.
the king. But I remember I seen my first tournament going off there. I was fishing with my grandpa. We wasn't in it, but I was like, man, what's going on there? He's like, it's a night tournament. I remember watching them boats line up and take off. So, you know, kept on fishing, and then I guess it was my junior year of high school, which was 4 years ago. I think 4 years ago. My buddy Easton was like, hey, come join our bass club. So went and hopped in it, started as a co, you know, in that club, and won the first tournament we fished in. And then from there, I've always dreamed of fishing professionally, and the chances of that are you're more likely to play ball in the NBA, then statistically speaking, I guess if you want to do numbers, you're probably more likely to play a professional sport than professional fish. But, man, it's a dream and it's a goal to chase. And, I said my goal is to win my entry fees back. That's the first goal, but the real goal is to try and instead of getting my teeth kicked in, and kick everybody else's teeth in. That's kind of a goal. But fished the club tournaments and started learning some and jumped in the BFLs as a co. I haven't been doing these tournaments very long. I think this is my 4th year going into it. We've got better each year. But yeah, so that was pretty short and sweet because I don't have any cool backstory of fishing a youth national championship in 2013 because I was a youngin' then, just a wee lad. So,
Still in your diapers.
Still in my diapers pretty much. And, so learning these tournaments. My favorite lake, Del Hollow. The second favorite lake is Smith Lake in Alabama. That lake's pretty fun. A lot of big spots in there, That's where our regional was last year and ended up doing pretty good. Not going to get into that. That's a large reason why I'm going as a boater this year. But, I had a really, really good partner that tournament and had another good partner. But, stuff happens whenever you're a co-angler. No beef, just, I feel like after that tournament, I felt like I was ready to kind of step up and go as a boater.
You got any good co-angler stories?
Yeah.
Any juicy co-angler stories?
I do. Do I want to get into them? Maybe.
Stay tuned.
I might talk about that one later, or those tournaments later. But yeah, that's a little bit about us. So yeah, BFLs are going to be fun this year. Fishing for this, just fun fishing. We'll talk about fun fishing. I'm wanting to get into the crappie more, so maybe we'll talk about crappie fishing. We might have some of our buddies on, some of our guys from the Caveland Bassmasters. Shout out to the Caveland Bassmasters. We'll see if we can get some of them guys on, and some of the other people that we know from growing up that are really, really good fishermen. We might even get some of our buddies on. It's good to get on. Just
I don't know if you want any of my buddies on here.
Might not want any of mine on either, but it might be fun anyways. So, yeah. So we wanted to go for about an hour. Is there anything else we want to talk about? Because I ain't got a time limit.
Man, I don't think so. I mean, just stay with us. If you like what you hear, if you're like us, if you're just an average dude that wants to hear what other average dudes have to say about fishing, stay tuned. We're doing this for just to see how it goes, just to see if it takes off. And if it does, great. And if not, that's fine too. But if you like what you hear, just please subscribe to our YouTube channel or
share it on Facebook.
Share it on Facebook.
Something.
Absolutely.
If we want, of course, it'd be awesome for a lot of people to listen to it. But even if people don't, we're still probably going to sit here and jabber. To be honest, because it's fun. It's fun. So it was just kind of threw it together. Kay was like, "You want to do one?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So kind of brainstormed some stuff while we was at work, and here we are. So this one, we've kind of been all over the place, no schedule. And I say we'll have a schedule for the next one, but we won't. I can promise you that.
No. Even if we do, we probably won't stick to it.
Probably right. I think you actually sent me a list.
I did, and I don't think we covered any of that stuff.
I don't either.
But who cares?
But yeah, who cares? So that's it, I guess, for this first one. I need to get home, get to the crib up in Sufferwell, and get some shut-eye, then go and try to smash them in the morning.
This dude's going bassing tomorrow.
So, you can't catch them sitting on the couch.
You can't catch them sitting on the couch.
The chances of catching them sitting at home is 0. And sometimes you can't catch them sitting at home. They're biting somewhere. You just gotta go find them. So find them basses, bassi,
Yeah, what's the plural for bass? Does anybody know?
bassi, bassi. So I guess that's it for the first one. It was fun. So like I said, next one probably better. Watch it if you want to. Yeah, that's all I got, man.
We appreciate you sticking with us this long, if anybody actually has.
You have.
And like I said, man, like, subscribe, comment, share, all the good stuff. We're also on this channel, we're also going to be posting some fishing videos. I have one up there currently. I know Will's going to start working on some, so we're just going to do like a multimedia type of deal. Videos, podcasts, maybe if we run into somebody cool, we might just interview them. You never know.
Oh, one thing I forgot. We texted about this, I think. If one of us ended up, I told Kate, I said, if I end up winning a BFL, I'm going to run around town, maybe not butt naked, but maybe in like a Speedo type deal. So
we will definitely video that if and when that happens.
Yeah. That's maybe something to want to keep you staying tuned into. I don't know.
If you want to see Will in his Speedo,
I might, if I win one, I'll probably do it. Who knows? So
he's got nice legs. This guy.
I do got nice legs. I had a kid tell me the other night. He was like, "Dang, dude, you're tall." I'm like, "Yeah, man, it's all on my legs." So.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So. I guess that's it for this first one. We've almost got to our 1 hour mark. It'll be better. I think if we did it on a Saturday night after we got off the lake,
For sure.
it would probably be better. But I can tell you what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to go fish on Del Hollow and try to scope some, throw a Carolina rig, and that's probably about it because that's all that I throw. And that's all that I won money on is the Carolina rig and live scoping. So it's a little odd, but yeah, man. Good.
Dang.
All right, that was two dudes who fish. We were talking fishing tonight. We'll be back. You want what? Once a week?
Yeah, we'll do it once a week.
And if we end up getting more people watching, we might do it more.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how the cookie crumbles. So appreciate y'all if y'all stayed listening to us this long, because we're just two dudes who fish. So
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. If you think we suck, tell us we suck. If you like it, tell us you like it. So, we're pretty thick-skinned. So, lay it on us if we did a bad job. But thank you so much, and come back next time.
sayonara.